Welcome, everyone. Good morning. University of Illinois Extension is happy to welcome on the Illinois Broadband Office and the Illinois Broadband Lab to continue this series in Illinois Digital Equity Capacity Grants. And we want to just say we're very grateful to Devin Bronstein, Alicia Ross, Caitlin Nelson, and Dwayne Douglas today for coming on and giving us more information about this very important aspect of education and development. And so without further ado, I will pass it to Alicia Ross now. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Nancy. I appreciate appreciate your help and your leadership in all the things that you're doing with broadband and digital equity. Good morning, everyone. My name is Alicia Ross. I am the one of three community engagement managers for the Illinois Office of Broadband. I serve primarily the northern region of our state of Illinois. And I'm looking forward to an engaging conversation and listening to our presenters today. Today is the second webinar in our series for the IDEC, the Illinois Digital Equity Capacity Support webinar series, and we're going to be discussing device distribution, digital literacy, and tech support. Thank you. Next slide. So this is just a visual of what it is we're going to be discussing today, just to kind of keep in mind all of the things that are most important in digital equity and specifically as it relates to device distribution, digital literacy, and tech support. Next slide. The agenda today is going to be just a quick overview of the Illinois Digital Equity Capacity Grant named acronym IDEC. And then we'll have a partner presentation for device distribution and tech support, a second partner presentation for digital literacy and learn to earn program. And following each of those presentations, after both presentations, actually, we're going to have an engaging Q&A discussion. So just to give you a quick overview of what the Illinois Digital Equity Capacity Grant is, first I'd like to start with introducing you to our team. Our team is, for the Illinois Broadband team, we are comprised of two different entities. The Illinois Office of Broadband, which we have 4 divisions. We are housed in DCEO, and then our sister organization, the Illinois Broadband Lab, which is housed at the University of Illinois system. We have been administered to, give an overview and to administer grants, starting first with our Connect Illinois Broadband Grant, which started in 2020. That was our first broadband infrastructure grant, deployment grant. And then just last month, we launched the Broadband Equity Access and Deployment Program, otherwise known as BEAD. And then today, we're going to be discussing the Digital Equity Capacity Grant. Thank you. Next slide. So when we talk about digital equity and inclusion, that means all, right? That means all of the unserved and underserved populations throughout our state, but also throughout the country. Digital equity is a condition that meets the needs for all, for sustaining access and capabilities for the use of information technology in all aspects. And that includes digital inclusion, which means the programming, the activities that you all have been engaged in, that you all are looking forward to expanding on as you consider this particular grant, the IDEC grant. And that includes affordable information and communication technologies such as reliable broadband, reliable internet for underserved, unserved communities, devices, including desktops, laptops, Chromebooks, sometimes smartphones, digital literacy skills training as it relates to anything from telehealth to financial digital health. And then, of course, tech support. We have to have tech support for all of the above mentioned. And then, of course, privacy and cybersecurity, assuring that we have all of us on a day-to-day as we're using any of the devices that we use for communicating. We have privacy and cybersecurity measures in place. And so when you think about the word equity, what we're talking about as it relates to digital equity, it's equity for all unserved, underserved populations, and that includes all of the eight NTIA covered populations that we're discussing, but for everyone as we're focused on digital equity and inclusion. Thank you. Next slide. So the Illinois State Digital Equity Plan, this was a task that all states across the country were charged with, developing and coming up with a state digital equity plan. Here in Illinois, back in 23, we had a robust listening sessions that was in-person sessions with local leaders, county leaders, township leaders, organizations, community anchor institutions, otherwise known as CAIs, to learn about what those needs are, what's happening in our state as it relates to broadband, as it relates to digital equity overall. And since that time, we were awarded and approved for our state digital equity plan back in spring of 24. And the core activities that we're focused on are listed here on your screen: community of practice, stakeholder engagement, statewide and university partnership, digital equity source of truth, and then what we'll be discussing today, digital equity grant program, which I'll share more information about what that means. What is IDEC? Thank you. Next slide. So again, the State Digital Equity Plan, this is our vision. You'll be able to access this plan, or you can access it on our website. It is over 200 plus pages of light reading, but you'll have an opportunity to go to the index, go directly to the areas that is of most interest to you, as well as reviewing the appendix, so that you can learn more about the hard work that the team has put in, the team and our partners that we've worked with over the past couple of years, making sure that we have everything documented and working on the measures to empower all Illinoisans to use and participate in fully in increasing digital economy and society. Thank you. Next slide. So these are the 8 covered populations. NTIA, the National Telecommunications Information Administration, through FCC, have been charged with making sure we meet the needs of all 8 covered populations. When you're filling out your application for this particular grant, you may say to yourself, or you and your colleagues, that you serve all of these 8. Well, that's great. That is what we want to know. We want to hear about. Or you may serve one of these areas, for example, veterans or aging populations. That is what we're looking for. We're looking to learn from you. Who are the people that you're serving, and who are the people that you're proposing to serve? Because these are the 8 covered populations that are of most priority to us here in the state, as well as nationally. Thank you. Next slide. So as we've been saying, today we are focused on basically just giving you the support that you need so that when you get ready to complete your application for this particular grant and the time comes for launching, you'll be able to submit your application according to what's best for you and the needs that you have, and that you're proposing as it relates to digital equity. The amount that is available for this particular grant is anywhere between $30,000 and $300,000 over an annual basis over the next 3 years. And the specific deadlines are to be determined and to be announced soon. Thank you. Next slide. So the eligible entities includes an array of partners, current partners, new partners, and as you see here, specifically foundations, corporations, institutions, and associations that are not-for-profit entities. When you think about a public school, is that public school a not-for-profit entity, and or perhaps working with a community organization? We strongly encourage partnerships. Partnerships, as we all know, are key to assuring that the services that we're providing to the communities that we serve will be vast and inclusive of everyone in all of the communities that we're looking to meet. And then you see here entities that carry out workforce development programs. Workforce development programs can be start with the very basics. It could be starting with career readiness. From basic learning, resume writing, or it could be anywhere up to apprenticeship certification type of programs. And then, of course, political subdivisions. The local counties, local townships, and cities are also eligible to apply for this particular grant. And then overall, as you see, the community anchor institutions. All of the community anchor institutions, including housing authority, libraries, healthcare providers, and higher education institutes, and again, other nonprofit or community support organizations serving all of the covered populations, either or one or more. Thank you. Next slide. So today, we'll be focusing on digital literacy and skill building and device distribution. But this particular grant covers 5 different project types. We want to focus today sharing information from our partners who have been doing work in the field for a number of years. Serving in the capacity of device distribution, again, devices including desktops, laptops, tablets, perhaps smartphones, addressing those barriers with covered populations, and then the digital literacy and skill building. It could be basic skills training for adult learners, youth learners, workshops, coaching, and various different learning populations to help build the digital skills that is needed. Thank you. Next slide. So here's the criteria. This is an overview of what the 6 categories that we're looking for as it relates to community need and service of covered populations, and then capacity of the eligible applicant. The capacity meaning what is the level of commitment? When we think about this particular program, this particular grant program, we're looking for some really key leaders in this field of digital equity and or leaders who are looking to expand their services, your services in the field of digital equity as it relates to the covered populations that you are serving. And that goes along with sustainability. When you're filling out this application, think about not necessarily what kind of program can I have this year or next year, but what is the sustainable option for programming? When I started in this field many years ago, that was something we didn't have the Office of Broadband with the various different opportunities that we have now with our Office of Broadband. We had to rely on perhaps one year we're focused on this. Okay, we're hoping the next year we're going to focus on the same thing. But, coming up with a sustainable plan is really going to be key in this application process, but for you as an entity overall, when you're thinking about digital equity. And so therefore, the quality of your proposal is really key, making sure that you are telling us what is it that I am going to do? Who are the communities I'm going to serve? Who are those covered populations? And how is that aligning with the state digital equity plan goals and outcomes? And then, of course, the support from your community is always important, whether it's letters, whether it is committed resources. For example, if you are applying for this particular grant, you're saying, yes, I need devices so that I can provide digital literacy skills. But as you saw, one of the project types is also computer centers. So putting that in there, and perhaps there is someone that is offering and committed to offering that space, and just being clear about that in this process. And then, of course, identifying what that looks like in your budget. What does that look like for space, digital literacy? Are there things that you're actually going to be purchasing? Are you purchasing software? What type of devices? And what does that look like as far as your budget is concerned? And are you also putting in budget salary for for personnel as well. So these are the different areas, the 6 areas for criteria that we're looking for in your application. Thank you. Next slide. And this is what you see here is actually a snapshot of from our website. You can go to our website, the dcoillinois.gov broadband, and go to Digital Equity Act. Once you go to that page, you'll see Digital Equity Act resources. The state digital equity plan is housed there. You're able to review the executive summary in several different languages for yourself as well as for your partners. And then, of course, we have the resources relating to the plan, the webinars, and various different digital equity resources. And some of those we'll talk about today as it relates to device distribution programming. Thank you. Next slide. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to our first presenter, Caitlin Nelson. She is the National Impact Manager for PCs for People. Thank you, Caitlin.
Thanks, Alicia. So yes, as Alicia said, I'm the National Impact Manager with PCs for People. I have been with the organization over 8 years and work with our partnerships across the country to develop different device distribution methods and processes that work best for the work that each group is doing. That can vary widely depending on the size of the organization and the number of folks they're looking to serve. And so I'll talk through a few of those options. Next slide. So we're a national nonprofit working to get low cost quality computers and internet into homes of low-income families and individuals. And we have a 4-prong model that is by sourcing devices from businesses. We refurbish those devices on site. We distribute those to low-income families and nonprofit organizations. And then we support, which I'll talk about a little bit toward the end here. We have locations, like I said, across the country. We do have 2 in Illinois, one in Cook County in the Oak Lawn area, and then one in Belleville, Illinois, which supports both Illinois and Missouri. Next slide, please. And just a quick snapshot of the national impact that we have and the number of devices that we've distributed. We've been around to some degree since 1998, and then more officially, I guess, since 2008. Next slide, please. And so we really focus a lot on affordable computers. I do want to acknowledge that we are just one of a few different organizations doing similar work in the state. And so, a lot of different opportunities to partner with different groups through this grant. And so just evaluating, like Alicia said, what's going to make the most sense for your programming. And so we, through the federal funding and the different devices that we are offering, have just sort of 2 price points, and that's just going to help us sort of streamline our processes with our desktops at about $150 each and our laptops at $175 each. And so as you're thinking through your budgets for the grant, that is one thing that we have sort of established here. And then we also have the option to add Microsoft Office. The computers that we provide all have Windows 11, and there is some upgrades and customization available. We do provide a 1-year hardware warranty as well as ongoing tech support. And so, developing all of these programs, we want to make sure that we have each of these components in place. And so that ongoing tech support is something that PCs for People can step in for you with the devices that are purchased. We know there's a lot of other pieces that you're going to be managing, and so want to take some of that off of your plate. And then again, have that 1-year warranty. Next slide, please. And do just want to briefly touch on devices, mobile hotspots. I know with some of this funding, the internet, the amount of funding that can go towards internet can be limited, and there's BEAD funding for some of that. But we do have so 4G and 5G devices available for $15 a month. And then on the next slide, you'll see that we have some fixed wireless internet projects that we can work with you on as well. So again, I know pretty limited probably for this portion of the funding. Just wanted to flag that. So I think the biggest key for these distribution programs is just how are we going to get these computers out and what's going to, again, make the most sense for the folks that you're working with. So we do provide these to low-income individuals. So as you're serving the folks who are in your programs, or we also can provide them to nonprofit organizations. So as Alicia mentioned, computer centers. And so if you need to set up a space where folks can come in, PCs for People can help support with that. A few of the ways that we typically work, or I'll go back just one more, if you don't mind. Thanks. A few of the ways that we do that with folks is we have some co-branded websites. So if you would like to do this more on kind of a rolling basis individually, or just to allow the folks who are receiving the devices to have a little bit more like autonomy and responsibility over their device acquisition process, we can provide you a URL where they can go to the website, purchase the, or not purchase, but select the device that they are looking to get, since the grant funding would cover that, and have that shipped directly to them. We do have local offices, like I mentioned, in 2 places, and so we can use some of those as supports to be able to distribute devices if you may not have capacity or space to distribute those devices, and so we can use ours to help with that. We do also do bulk distributions, and so if you as an organization are interested in receiving, anywhere from 20 to hundreds of devices, we can ship those direct and allow you to distribute those. We have systems that can help with the reporting, and so that's a key piece for these grants to know, who are the covered populations that these devices are serving, and any information related to that. So we can provide that aggregately through our systems. We do have processes where we can do events where folks can register. We have ways for you to assign a computer to a participant. We have ways for you just to maintain ownership over those devices and help, with the support, again, depending on how much capacity that you would like to provide. And then with the eligibility piece, there's different ways that we can work with you on that, again, with the individual or the organization. The 1-year hardware warranty, we provide supports both locally and more remotely. So folks can bring their devices into us. We can also help them over the phone and through email and have devices shipped in if they're in more rural areas, not close to one of our offices. Again, with some additional supports through our call center with support in Hmong, Spanish, Somali, and English. And there's a lot of you all who are developing some of that support with your own programs. And so this is one piece that we can also provide for you to give folks the best experience and make sure that they're getting a device, but then they also know how to use it. It's not going to be helpful for them if they are not sure how to turn it on or go through the next steps to be able to fully participate in the programs that you're offering. Next slide. And so again, just one of many groups that's doing device distribution. And so those are the ways that we typically do that. If you are interested in working with us on your device distributions, feel free to contact me either at cnelson@pcsforpeople.org or partner@pcsforpeople.org. And then I did just want to briefly mention that for all the partnerships, we need computers in order to distribute them. And so want to make sure that we are able to get in touch with those businesses and corporations who are supplying devices and want to be supportive of digital equity. And so there's the recycle@pcsforpeople.org email for any information on that. And I think that's true for all of our groups that are doing device recycling and refurbishment. That means that. So, and then, yeah, I'll leave a second for any questions. And I think I saw one in the chat here. Kate, I have not connected with Impact House. So if you don't mind connecting with me here afterward, I would love to get some more information about that.
Thank you so much, Caitlin. Appreciate your partnership. And as Caitlin mentioned, there are several different distribution organizations here in Illinois, and who are also part of the Illinois Computer Equity Network. What I'd like to say is please share your information in the chat, your name, your organization and or entity that where you serve, and perhaps your contact information, as well as any questions, and we'll be able to have more Q&A towards the end of the chat. But if you share your information in chat, that will be great. Thank you so much. Next slide. So our next partner presentation is going to be Dwayne Douglas, who is founder and CEO of Quilt NFP, and he will share his experiences with one of our other partner organizations and device distribution. Dwayne?
Hello, everyone. Thank you very much, Alicia. I really appreciate it. I'll give you a bit of information about Quilt, and then we'll talk about some of the work that I do around digital equity inclusion, and then how I partner with organizations like, for distribution. So I'm Dwayne Douglas, and I've spent over 30 years working in IT, healthcare, finance, social services, and telecommunications. But what truly defines in my career isn't just my experience, it's my purpose, leveraging technology to create real lasting opportunities for people and communities. My why for doing this work is deeply rooted in empowerment and access. I believe that everyone, regardless of where they live, their income, or their backgrounds, deserve the tools, knowledge, and resources to succeed. That belief has shaped everything I do, from leading cross-functional teams to building strategic partnerships that create sustainable impact. But this mission is personal to me. I was born and raised in North Lawndale on Chicago's West Side, a historically disadvantaged community. However, at the age of 11, my mother transferred me to a school on the North Side in Uptown. Every day I traveled an hour and a half back and forth on the CTA just to go to school. That experience opened my eyes. It showed me firsthand how access, opportunity, and environment can completely transform someone's path. Fast forward decades later, I had another eye-opening moment. I now live in Naperville, Illinois for over 25 years, a place I call my bubble, where internet access, technology, and digital opportunities are expected, not questioned. But in 2017, while visiting my family back in North Lawndale, I heard a question that changed everything about how I was going to move forward in life. And someone asked me, what do I need the internet for? It was a family member. That stopped me in my tracks. They didn't see the need. They didn't have device access or awareness of what was possible. So I went back home, researched for days, and I found out about the digital divide, something I had never heard about, despite working in the tech for decades. And the more I learned, the more it humbled me and guided me. And that's when I knew I had to do something. Next slide, please. So in 2020, 3 years after listening to communities, understanding the challenges, and working alongside local partners, I started Quilt, an organization built to convene, collaborate, and connect resources to empower communities. At Quilt, we say a patchwork of change. Why? Because real transformation isn't done alone. It takes public, private, philanthropic, and community partners working together. Next slide, please. Our mission is bringing together partners, resources, and communities to create opportunities that empower individuals with knowledge, tools, and roots and support to achieve self-sufficiency, drive sustainable change, and foster lasting community progress. Next slide, please. We have 3 programs Quilt. Our major one here is Broadband Access for Brighter Futures. It's a campaign and engagement initiative focused on advocacy, partnership, and education to drive broadband adoption and awareness. We want to expand digital access, drive economic mobility, create sustainable change in communities that have historically been underserved. Broadband Access for Brighter Futures brings together public, private, philanthropic, and community partners to ensure that individual families and businesses have the internet connectivity, devices, and skills needed to thrive in a digital world. Next slide. Our other 2 programs we run are the Community Access Broadband Initiative, CABI, and Inspire. Community Access Broadband Initiative is Quilt's flagship program designed to expand affordable broadband access in marginalized communities. We focus on building sustainable broadband infrastructure in historically disconnected areas. We use public-private partnerships with ComEd, Node Networks, and other organizations to leverage existing infrastructure for broadband expansion. We design as a replicable scale model for broadband deployment across multiple cities, also in Cook County and other areas. Inspire is Quilt's workforce development and digital skills training programs designed to equip individuals with knowledge and certifications needed for careers in broadband, infrastructure technology, and digital infrastructure. It provides certifications and apprenticeships in fiber optic training, technicians, cybersecurity, IT networking, and digital infrastructure. These are Department of Labor approved apprenticeship programs. We train individuals in hands-on industry-specific skills that align with workforce demands. We prepare participants for high-wage, sustainable careers in technology and broadband sectors. Next page. Our approach is, I believe in collaborations. I believe in working from the inside out, not top down. So we come into communities. We only work in communities in which we have a community partner. We currently work across the city of Chicago and Cook County in 15 communities and municipalities. We build programs and solutions with the community. We listen to be informed and respond with purpose. We engage with the community, actively substantiating ourselves in the community. So we commit resources and experience to get involved in the community agenda. We want to understand what they're doing. And then we work on restoration. We build trust in community in our partnerships. We are honest, transparent, and intentional in the work that we do. And then we empower. We create sustainable solutions that not only address the needs of today, yet create opportunities for tomorrow. Next slide, thanks. So we believe in these strategic collaborations. Quilt is a dynamic consortium of public, private, philanthropic community organizations united by a shared commitment to expand access, create opportunities, and drive lasting change. There are industry partnerships across various organizations, the training organizations that we work with as well, and also with our key partners in community, not only our community partners, but our anchor institutions as well, and in civic leadership and representation. There's key decision makers who convene stakeholders, champion policies, and advocate for initiatives strengthening communities, expand access, and create sustainable impact. And I've been working with the Illinois Office of Broadband, the City of Chicago, and Cook County since 2018 on these initiatives, and I really appreciate all the support that we get from them. Next slide. So it takes a village. As I mentioned earlier, we work across the city and the county. We have partners that are national partners, that are global partners as well, like the Wireless Broadband Alliance, the Wireless Infrastructure Association, Hexatronic are some of our product partners, NNA is some community partners, NLCCC, POA, Latinx DLN, QTS is our data center partners. So next slide. So again, it takes a village. And at Quilt, we believe that access to technology is fundamental to opportunity. By convening these partners and collaborations on solutions and cultivating sustainable partnerships, we ensure that communities have the tools they need to thrive. One key initiative is device distribution, which we're here to talk about, where we work alongside organizations like CompuDoc to provide reliable technology to individuals and families who need it most. By bridging the divide, the digital gap, with essential devices, we equip residents with resources to pursue education, workforce opportunities, and digital inclusion. Collectively, and working with what we've done and working with CompuDoc, we have device distributions. It's a key enabler that connects all three initiatives that we have at Quilt, CABI, Broadband Access to Brighter Futures, and Inspire, into a holistic digital equity strategy. Without access to functional devices, communities cannot fully benefit from broadband infrastructure, digital literacy programs, or workforce development opportunities. Device distribution in partnership with CompuDoc. To date, we've delivered over 1,100 devices, and these devices span from, we started in 2023, the fourth quarter of 2023. We went into the first quarter of 2024. And over that period of time, we delivered about 1,100 devices across 7 communities, including 2 in Cook County. We currently have 3 distributions planned this year and for this first quarter of 2025. I didn't start Quilt. Go back one, please. Yeah, I didn't start Quilt just to run another nonprofit. I started because I saw a gap that needed to be filled, a gap that no single organization, company, or agency could fix alone. As we know, digital equity isn't just about providing internet, it's about making sure people have the devices, skills, and support to use it effectively. And that requires true collaboration. So handing out laptops isn't enough. This isn't just a feel-good giveaway where we take a picture, pass out some devices, and move on. Our approach is intentional, structured, and designed for long-term success. So here's what we do. We don't just assume every household needs a device. We work with trusted community partners who can identify those truly in need. We partner with reliable suppliers. We work with groups like CompuDot, who refurbish and prepare devices to ensure they're high quality and functional. We distribute with purpose. Devices don't just get handed out. They come with digital literacy training, tech support, and follow-up engagement. We measure that impact. We follow up months later to see, are the devices being used? Have they helped with jobs, education, or personal growth? What barriers still exist? How do we improve the future distributions? So we understand this is not just a drop off, it's a process. And that process needs accountability to work. One of the biggest issues in device distribution is accountability. So how do we ensure that these devices don't go unused, don't get resold, and actually make a difference? We solve this problem through three key areas of accountability: tracking and transparency. We work with our partners to track every device we distribute. This means we know who gets it, where it went, and how it's being used. We follow up and support. After the device is given out, we check in to make sure it's working properly, the recipient is getting the value from it, they're connected to the internet, service, and digital literacy programs, and also partner sustainability. We don't just focus on getting 100 devices today. We focus on how we can ensure there are 100 devices next month and the next year. If our distribution partners can't sustain themselves, we lose a critical resource. We work with them to ensure their operations remain viable so they can continue supporting digital access in the long run. Our goal is not just to distribute devices, but to build an ecosystem where device access is maintained, expanded, and improved year after year. Next slide, please. Our vision at Quilt. A community where self-sufficiency is shared reality, driven by accessible services and education where barriers are reduced, providing access to opportunity, where communities have sustained health, generational wealth, and community growth achieved through collaborative, innovative, strong work ethic, and positive social impact. In this vision, every individual's journey towards success contributes to a resilient, interconnected community that thrives today, paves the way for a brighter future. Next slide. Thank you. The differentiator for us is, beyond the programs, we build collaborations with community, public, and private philanthropic partners. As I've stated earlier, we form sector relationships, sharing resources and experiences to solve for the community need. I like to look at this here, and I believe we all do as well. We are way makers. In most cases, we're miracle workers. And we want to ensure that we're keeping the promises and that we are that light in the darkness for a lot of these households that don't really have this access and they do have this need. Next slide. And that's my presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dwayne. If there are any questions, you can put them in the chat or you can raise your hand if you have any questions. And as you're doing that, I just want to mention that I have had the opportunity in this position to witness some of these device distribution programs in several communities in our northern part of our state. And, the need is there for devices. Of course, I don't have to say that. The need is there for communities to receive devices. The need is there for communities to receive digital literacy skills training with those devices. And the need is there for device distribution companies and organizations. I put in the chat, if there is someone here that we have not identified, please contact me. If you are even a smaller device distribution and or full service, meaning device distribution, digital literacy entity, let me know. And then you can join the group as we continue discussions on how to serve the communities, as well as share resources with all of the partners. We have our monthly digital equity meeting coming up. And that is an opportunity to meet others and learn about some of the programming that they're doing, perhaps with device distribution, digital literacy, and tech support programming, as well as other programming as it relates to digital equity overall. But if you'd like, this is the time to share or ask any questions that you may have. You can either put your question in the chat and Caitlin and Dwayne will answer, or you can unmute yourself or raise your hand and ask any questions that you may have at this time.
Thanks, Alicia. There is a question around just needing clarification that the devices are just available to the public or access or part of like a lending program. And so you could even maybe, oh, it looks like Caitlin did address that question about PCs for people, providing them for recipients to keep, but then also providing to organizations who are setting up a lending program. So that's interesting. I really appreciate that kind of clarification and nuanced answer there, or identifying kind of like the nuance or whatever. Don't know if Dwayne or Alicia would like to add anything.
Yeah, what we do with our partner organizations is not meaning our distribution partner, but our community organizations that we partner with for the distributions. We not only provide devices to the residents of the community, but we also build out a lending program as well for individuals who don't have devices and during the intermediate times when we're doing distribution. So we have a lending program also.
Great, thank you. If anyone has any other questions, go ahead and get those in the chat. And we have a little bit of time, and I certainly want to invite Alicia, Caitlin, and Dwayne to, give any takeaways that they might be thinking in the back of their mind for everybody.
I see there is a question in the chat for Dwayne from Shauna. It is, can you go over how the operas, oh my goodness, I am totally tongue-tied. You can read it.
When you go
Device,
over how you
yeah.
operationalize device distributions,
Thank
how
you.
do you determine who gets devices, what type of devices do you folks have to do anything to qualify? So what we do is I partner with organizations within communities, and then what we do is we'll go through and we'll define which group that we're going to look at addressing that need. And what we do is we work with our distribution partner. Our distribution partner provides us with, in this case, it's CompuDot, the way that we've done it in the past, or we currently do it today. We work with CompuDot and a community partner to establish how we're going to reach out to the community and engage with the community. They provide us with a QR code. We take that QR code and we distribute it throughout the community to individuals within the community that we work with and talk to. And then once they have those, we take their information, we account for them, and we get them rolled into, after they receive their devices, we get them enrolled into our digital literacy classes. And we work with them. Some of them don't require digital literacy classes. They may require digital skilling classes. And so we work with them on that as well. And then we look to get them into pathways to moving into some of our other programs that we offer as well.
See another question here. Have you activated our 81 library branches in Chicago? A big question. And thank you so much, Kate. No problem. Anybody have any thoughts on that?
Sure. I know that so one of the things when we think about device distribution, programming, and digital literacy skills training, we think about those collectively. Which is why we're talking about those project areas in one webinar. The other thing we think about also, though, is our Digital Navigator program. So the Digital Navigators, they have been able to work with some of the libraries both in Chicago through with their host site over the past year and a half. And also looking to expand and to do more of that, as well as working with the Chicago Housing Authority. So yes, working with the libraries. I know Highwood is here as well. And they have a program that they're working with some of the digital navigators and providing the resources that they have here, well, in Lake County. But yes, libraries, of course, are our first point of contact when we think about digital equity, digital literacy, skills training. Libraries have always been the anchor for this type of programming.
Thanks. We have a couple other questions asking around this sort of the geographic, any West Side communities that are
Yes, I
currently. Yeah, thank you.
currently work in Austin, Garfield, North Lawndale, on the west side of Chicago, Maywood, Bellwood.
And then there's a question around device distribution as something to get done before digital literacy programs.
Traditionally, what we were doing was we were providing devices to individuals
Marva,
after digital literacy
for the
programs.
question. Yeah. As Dwayne shared, as well as Caitlin shared, sometimes what programs, what partners want is they already have a program, they already have a center. So sometimes they just want, yes, the devices. They want access to devices to serve the communities that they're serving. And then sometimes you do have a collective program, like the program that Dwayne has been administering with CompuDop, and that is the Learn to Earn program. Taking the course, no matter for whether 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, whether it's anywhere from basic training, digital literacy skills, or apprenticeship type of training, and then at the end of that particular program or training program specifically, then they earn a device.
Thank you. There's a question here. Gonna try to. So it says, do you use elementary and secondary and libraries as building block people plus data places, including for impact tracking? Yeah, I'm not for sure. I see the question. I'm wondering if this is more of a question around the community anchor institutional impact, but I honestly we could just maybe pin that. I'm happy to say, if somebody wants to respond to Leighton in the chat, they could include an email, and maybe that could be addressed or something. And then a question for Caitlin around, could you please confirm that nonprofits can purchase hotspots from your organization and set up a $15 monthly payment?
Yeah, so if it is being purchased on behalf of the participant and they will maintain ownership of those devices, that can be done through PCs for People. If it's a case where a library was going to set up a checkout program, we're not authorized to sell them directly to those organizations, but we do have a partner organization that I can refer folks to for those situations. And there
Sure.
might be others too out there, that just the one that we work with specifically.
Okay. Yeah, I think it would be great if some or all of you could put your emails in the chat for folks to contact for that info. And then I see there's a bit more here in the chat. Thank you for fielding that in the chat as well. I see that, Caitlin. Thanks. Has anyone set up a collaborative program with device distribution associated with use of digital navigators in sustained programs in the community that focus on health literacy and access of medical care teams and pertinent information?
Great question. And I believe there are some, we have some partners in the health community that are working with telehealth opportunities, educating various different, community leaders as well as residents on how to use various different health portals. Actually, we're going to have a presenter at our Digital Equity Monthly call next month in March that is going to speak to some of the work that she and her partners are doing in this field of telehealth and digital literacy skills training. There are some that are doing some work around the state, but of course, it is a need. This is something that we witness, all of us witness during the height of the pandemic in 2020. It's a great question. Thank you.
Thanks. Let's see here. Looks like we are seeing not much more. Okay, yeah, that when applying for a specific community with low digital equity, what data should we include to show that the current state of tech and digital equity, what that is? Is there a preference in data sources?
Well, Daria, if you're referring to data sources that you would perhaps use as, that you're going to propose to use and put in your application, then what I would suggest is do the research that you need and decide on which data sources that you would need. We have data sources as it relates to demographics within our state. The Illinois Broadband Lab, we have a map that identifies the unserved and underserved communities, and we also have more specific data for those unserved and underserved communities throughout the state as it relates to various different demographics. So you can actually look at our website and look at the information that we've collected. But if you're talking about doing the research yourself, and this is part of your proposal, your application proposal, definitely identifying what are the tools that you need for the specific communities that you're serving, and then therefore the specific services that you're proposing that you're going to do as you apply for this particular grant.
And I can jump in maybe with a suggestion also just to build upon what Alicia shared. So last week we had a data storytelling webinar, the first in the series. So maybe one of our colleagues could drop a link to that webinar in the chat. You can watch the recording and it goes through how you can leverage different data sources. But I would say that it doesn't really matter the specific source as long as it's being used to tell the story of what the community is experiencing. So it could range from census stats on the number of households in the community that have or don't have devices at home, who have adopted internet, or something like a survey of local community members or testimonials from local community members. So really a wide range and more just looking for how you weave together that story and help us understand the community.
Thank you, Devin. And I think we have a question from Eve. If I'm sorry for mispronouncing the word, but I also want to show a couple of more slides. It has some resources, but you will get an opportunity to receive these slides as well. But if you want to unmute yourself. Ves?
Yes.
Sorry, I think I mispronounced your name earlier, so apologies. But yes, your question?
No, thank you so much. I really appreciate being here and connecting with you and the team behind the Illinois Broadband Connection. So I was looking, it looked like Kylene has given a response, but the next question was for an organization to apply, and also to apply to this grant, and also at the same time, the organization need to started enrolling participant and storing their information. So I wanted to know if you have to purchase out of the program before you apply to the grant, or you can purchase with the program benefit before applying to the grant. I'm talking more about PC for the people. Like, for example, we need computer and internet connection now to enroll participant before even applying.
Yeah, we exist outside of this grant, and so if you have device needs prior to or to support your operations in applying for the grant, we serve nonprofit organizations and low-income folks all the time, and so you can reach out to me, and I put my information in the chat if you need to order, or if you're looking for just a few devices, you can do so on our website as well.
And from a logistics of the grant program perspective, this program does not allow for reimbursement of pre-award costs. So we would suggest waiting, putting forth a really strong application, and once you're awarded and have a signed grant agreement, if you are awarded, then to go ahead and begin incurring costs.
Okay, I appreciate the detail. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Vess, for your question. And thank you again, Caitlin and Dwayne, for your presentation. We are about a minute after 12, but we appreciate all of you for being here. Please, we will share the slides with you. Go to our website so you can see our state digital equity plan. Also, you'll be able to access some of the resources as it relates to digital equity overall. We will have the resource for the computer distribution organizations and companies we work with. Currently here in Chicago right now is ComputeUp and PCs for People, but we are partnered and the people who are part of our computer equity network includes Human IT and Digitunity as well. So please, and those are national partners, national leaders in this field of device distribution, as well as PCs for All. And they offer some more tech-specific opportunities, through the work that they're doing. So various different opportunities for device distribution programming, holistic programming, as well as some more specific. Thank you. We appreciate you being here. And if you have any questions for any of the presenters, for myself, thank you, Devin, for sharing the answers, to some of the things that we need as related to our IDEC. The IDEC grant we will be launching soon, but we will be and therefore we will be continuing with our webinars. Our next webinar is next Tuesday, and I think I'm going to pass this over to Nancy.
Thank you. Thank you. I am real happy that we had such a thorough discussion today. That's just a great level of engagement. I know that we're past the noon hour, so I just want to thank everyone for their time. Thank you so much for the speakers and their time and expertise. And we'll be happy to welcome everybody back next Monday on September 10th, September. Don't we wish it was September? February 10. And so that will be another session, and we'll I believe that will be the 10th, and then the 14th is when it closes out the sessions, the series. So thanks so much, everyone, for coming, and we'll see you soon, and I hope you have a great rest of your week.